We're standing here in Jerusalem, and we are inside the famous Dome of the Rock.
This building was completed in 692 CE and is located in Jerusalem.
The Dome of the Rock is the oldest Islamic monument.
Most commonly mistaken for a mosque, this building is actually a Muslim shrine and tribute to the triumph of Islam.
This marked the coming of the new religion, Islam, to a sacred city for Jews and Christians alike.
Now, the shrine was built atop the sacred rock Sakhra, or foundation stone.
This rock has a very turbulent history.
If you take a look at the handout, you can see a summarized timeline of the events that occurred on this sacred rock.
This rock was originally the home to the Temple of Jerusalem in the early 10th century BCE.
This temple stood for around 400 years until the Roman Emperor Titus destroyed it in the Siege of Jerusalem in 587 CE.
A second temple was erected, but in the early 6th century CE, Muslim armies captured Jerusalem from the Byzantine Empire.
The Dome of the Rock itself was built in 692 CE.
This shrine was built to mark the coming of a new religion, Islam, to a sacred city for Jews and Christians alike.
We have a quote from Muslim historian Al-Muqaddasi discussing the reason for building the Dome of the Rock.
Al-Muqaddasi asked his uncle why Al-Walid spent so much money on the building of the mosques in Damascus.
Al-Walid responded, "My little son, thou hast no understanding. Verily, Al-Walid was right, and he was prompted to a worthy work. For he beheld Syria to be a country that had long been occupied by the Christians, and he noted there are beautiful churches still belonging to them, so enchantingly fair, and so renowned for their splendor, as are the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and the churches of Lydda and Edessa. So he sought to build for the Muslims a mosque that should be unique and a wonder to the world. And in like manner is it not evident that Abd al-Malik, seeing the greatness of the martyrium Quba of the Holy Sepulchre and its magnificence, was moved lest it should dazzle the minds of Muslims, and hence erected above the rock the dome which is now seen there."
If we take a look at the exterior, most of the design was intended to outshine Christian churches.
Yes, when we first look at this magnificent shrine, our eyes are drawn to the golden dome atop a tall drum.
Originally, this shrine was covered with a lead dome, but in the early 1960s it was replaced with a gold-colored covering.
Due to rust, the cover was replaced again in 1993 by another gold-colored covering.
Now, another fascinating detail about this dome is the full moon decoration, which is very similar to the crescent symbol of Islam.
Due to its alignment, looking through the full moon leads one's gaze to Mecca.
Now, taking a look at the interior of the dome, or the cupola, we can see elaborate red and gold floral decorations.
The inscription inside the cupola commemorates Saladin, who sponsored restoration work to the building.
Let's take a look at the structure itself.
Yeah, we can see how the composition of the building is somewhat influenced by Byzantine architecture. Religious shrines known as martyrias were erected to mark the graves of saints and were typically circular or polygonal.
The dome itself sits atop an elevated drum. Surrounding this drum is an octagonal arcade of 24 piers and columns.
Similar to the Pantheon in its domed central plan structure, the Dome of the Rock's architecture is very mathematical and symmetrical.
Below this golden dome is an exposed section of the rock that is protected by railing.
Looking at the rock itself, there are several large gashes in the rock, which are commonly attributed to crusaders.
In fact, this damage was so severe that the Christian kings of Jerusalem covered the rock with a slab of marble in order to protect it.
Now, it is believed that Abraham prepared to sacrifice Isaac on this very rock.
Due to its spiritual history, this is the third holiest place in Islam after Mecca and Medina.
Legend says that Islam's holiest shrine, the Kaaba, will be transported to this location on Judgment Day, and God will place his throne on the rock and judge the dead.
That's fascinating, but what is really intriguing is the small hole in the southeast corner of the Sakhra.
This small hole leads down to the chamber rumored to be the Well of Souls.
The Well of Souls itself is rumored to contain the famous Ark of the Covenant.
The Ark of the Covenant is a sacred vessel that contained the Ten Commandments tablet that God gave to Moses.
However, no one is certain that the Ark of the Covenant or the Wells of Souls actually exists.
While knocking on the rock above this space elicits a hollow, echoey sound, no one has actually seen the chamber itself.
Yes, as this site is a sacred space, archaeological digs are prohibited.
There are many legends surrounding this Well of Souls, however. One legend says that the voices of the dead mingle with the rivers of paradise.
Yes, and another says that the dead meet in this enclosed chamber twice a month to pray.
While we don't know for certain whether this Well of Souls actually exists, the legends and rumors surrounding it are remarkable.
Let's take another look at the exterior of this building.
Yes, the walls themselves are decorated with marble, metal plaques, and mosaics.
Although these mosaics have a similar technique to Byzantine mosaics, the ones in the Dome of the Rock feature Arabic script and vegetative patterns.
The tiles that adorn the building's exterior are actually copies of Persian tiles that Suleiman the Magnificent added in 1545 to replace the damaged originals.
Now, if we look at the inscriptions, we can see some of the earliest surviving verses of the Quran.
There are two separate sections of inscriptions, those on the inner arcade and those on the outer arcade.
The Kufic script on the inner arcade detail God's absolute power and foretells that Jesus will rise again. Here is an excerpt. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, there is no God but God. He is one. He has no associate. Unto him belongeth sovereignty, and unto him belongeth praise. He quickeneth, and he giveth death, and he has power over all things.
The script on the outer arcade, on the other hand, discusses Muhammad's relation to God and states that the dome itself was built by a servant of God. Here is another excerpt. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, there is no God but God. He is one. He has no associate. Muhammad is the messenger of God. The blessing of God be on him. The dome was built by servant of God Abt.
Looking back inside the Dome of the Rock, a small reliquary is located above the southwest corner.
Yes, this reliquary is believed to contain a hair of Muhammad the Prophet.
This reliquary also shelters his footprint in the rock.
According to legend, the rock wanted to ascend with Muhammad, but the angel Gabriel held it down. The angel's fingerprints are still visible on the western edge, just north of the reliquary.
Today, tourists are not permitted to enter the Dome of the Rock during midday prayer, so to not disturb those praying.